girls, grab your beers.
Hey everybody, this is Charlie from Anthrax, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time.
Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now here's your host.
I am Monty Heath, so one Heath, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
Hey, what's up? It's John from Skillet, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle on Domain Cleveland Radio.
Fasten your seatbelts.
The loudest weekend of the year is back, louder than live in Louisville, Kentucky, with Slayer, Slipknot, Motley Crue, Korn, Judas Priest, Disturbed, Five Finger Death Punch, Breaking Benjamin, Evanescence, Falling in Reverse, The Offspring, and so many more. September 26th through 29th in Louisville, Kentucky. Passes on sale now at louderthanlivefestival.com.
What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle. And real quick housekeeping note, if you're watching us on YouTube or Rumble or BitChute or Odyssey, please hit that follow and subscribe button. If you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple, Google, whatever podcast platform you utilize, please hit that follow and subscribe button so we can continue bringing you conversations like the one I'm bringing you today, man. We are headed into the apocalypse. It's a sign of the times, man. I'm telling you. So I'm calling in one of the Four Horsemen to get his take on everything going on. What's going on? This is Sean from the band The Four Horsemen.
Hi, guys. Busy as always, man. There's always something going on.
Yeah, a lot's been going on with you guys, man. So I'm excited to get into it. But usually when I have people on for the first time, I like to get a quick background. So do you remember originally what you wanted to be when you grew up?
Yeah, I wanted to be a basketball player, but I never got past 5'10". After that, I saw my dad play drums and singing, and it just really inspired me. I wanted to get into music somehow. So, at a young age, I think it was like 14, I was finally able to get an acoustic guitar from him, and that started my journey. So, it's been a thing. I've gone back and forth from writing my own music to playing drums just for fun, playing guitar for fun, singing karaoke. It's always been some type of musical thing in my environment, but my dad was the inspiration for everything I do today.
Nice. And what was the type of music that he was playing?
Steely Dan, Rolling Stones, Humble Pie. He got into country later on. He liked Garth Brooks, but Eagles was another big one. And one of the last concerts I was able to take him to was Eagles last year in Cleveland. And he had a blast. That was in October, right? Like 2 days after his birthday, I took him up there, and it was fun. Unfortunately, he passed away this April, but I was really happy to, give him one of those where he never thought he was going to see it. The tickets were almost $2,000 for 2 tickets, and we still had to watch the Jumbotron because we were so far away. But, the priceless thing was seeing how happy he was and singing with him. Me and him were singing harmonies and stuff. So I was like, I don't care what it costs.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry for your loss, man. But yeah, what a memory to keep, Yeah,
it was a great time, and I wouldn't take it back for the world,
Yeah. Yeah. And so you're saying you live down in the Akron area. Is that where you've lived your whole life? You grew up down there?
No. Came down here for a girl. Don't we all? I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, born up at Fairview Hospital there by Camp's Corner. And,
nice. Me too.
I lived my life in Cleveland, right off off of Clifton and Baltic as a street, 108th Street. It's where I lived when I was a young kid. And then I moved up to my dad's house on Melgrave Avenue off Rocky River Drive, right over by Dairy Queen. And, you know, that's Cleveland's always been my home. I was always a Cleveland Browns fan, Cleveland Indians fan, and I will still say Indians. And, you know, I remember Kai Hoskevy from the soccer team even, you know, Cleveland, what was it, the Force, I think it was called. So I've always been a Cleveland person and, you know, I always root for my teams. Basketball, obviously, Cavs were like my favorite team growing up.
So then you remember going to see games back at the Richfield Coliseum and stuff. And I heard you mention the Force too. So
yeah, I got to see, I think, one soccer game. My brother got his picture taken with Kai Hoskevy, who was like the star of the soccer team back then when we were, you know, kids.
Yeah.
And I got to see 2 AC/DC concerts at Richfield Coliseum. One when I was 13 on the Blow Up Your Video tour. And then when I was 16, I got to see Metallica on the Black Album tour at Richfield, and it blew my mind. That's like, it was just another reinforcement that music, I was already doing my own music at, you know, but 16 years old, I was just still trying to learn to play. But when I saw that show, it just blew my mind. Never thought I'd be in a Metallica tribute, just wanted to be a musician. So that's where my head was when I was 16.
Gotcha. Yeah. So obviously, you know, with the Four Horsemen, a huge, you know, Metallica influence and fans. But like you were saying back then, what was some of like your own music that you were writing, or what was the scene like where you were when you were involved playing out?
I mean, there was a lot of bands out, and I had no idea that you could get in a band and play a local show. I even when I turned 21, I never went out to bars or drinking. I just always sat in my dad's basement, and I would play my guitar and his drums. I'd go to work and I'd come home and I would just play music. So I had no idea there was a scene out there. And one day he was just like, why don't you get into a band and play out? You know, it sounds like you're getting pretty good. And I thought to myself, like, how do you find people to play, you know, music with? And he's like, there's this thing called Scene Magazine. You should put an ad in there and
Nice.
You know, find people. So I put an ad in there, and I found one guy, and you know, I found another guy, and I started going to see their shows, and then it was, you know, I started making friends in the scene, and I finally found a guitar player to work with, and then I started writing my own stuff, you know, in my mid-20s. And put 3 albums out. The band was called Antithesis, and it was like semi-progressive metal, like a Megadeth, Metallica type of influence. You know, we had some off-timing stuff going on. My other guitar player, he was big into like Watchtower and Dream Theater and Symphony X, and that's what turned me onto the progressive scene too, was some of those bands. And so, I mean, we wrote and we got a distribution deal over in Europe, but I mean, it didn't go anywhere. You know, it was fun, but we were very broke. And so I just, you know, it's like you have to pick once you get in. I got into my 30s and I was still very broke and poor. And I just said, it was fun. I'm going to go back to school, cut my hair off, get a degree, and do something. So that's what I did. I dropped the guitar, dropped the drums for years, and went back to school, got an IT degree. I started an IT company, and I started making a lot of money, and I didn't really care that I wasn't in music anymore. But I liked to like sing karaoke. So I would go out and just, you know, sing on a Friday here and there. And I got a call from I saw there was a Alice in Chains tribute band. And I love singing Alice in Chains in my car, you know, here and there. I'd sing it at karaoke, and I auditioned for that band, and they loved me. So we started doing shows. And during that time, we lost a bass player and another bass player audition who happened to be in a Metallica tribute. And I think the Alice in Chains band lasted maybe 4 or 5 years, and it fizzled out. And the bass player called me up and said, hey, you know, we know you can sing. We lost our front guy, our James, and are you able to play like guitar and stuff? And can you send us any kind of demo or whatever? And I said, well, yeah, I mean, used to play guitar in my own band in Cleveland, and he said, oh, what's your band name? I told him Antithesis. And he goes, oh my God, I have all your albums. And I'm like, what? That's nuts, because we didn't have it wasn't really a big fan base. So I was like, okay. Well, he goes, did you write all that? I'm like, yeah, I wrote the majority of everything that was on the 3 albums. And he's like, can you still play like that? I'm like, nope. I haven't played like that in years. I said, but I can still play, I play for fun. So I auditioned, and they were blown away. And I said, okay, well, if I get involved, I want things to be high quality. It has to be correct. I want to play it like the album. I don't want to play it like our own interpretations of what it's supposed to be. So that was back in 2000, the end of 2006. And we were playing like 5-6 shows a year and just bars, but it was always like anything musical. My father always told me, don't ever get on stage and half-ass it. The people deserve the best that you've got. So I've always taken that approach to just about everything I do in life. It has to be top quality or I'm not happy. And so, some people can say, oh, he's a bit of a jerk or he's hard to work with, whatever, because I expect a lot. And I have a reputation. I know there's a lot of people in Cleveland and Akron who do not like me. And that's okay. They don't have to like me. But the product speaks for itself. I mean, I've grown it from just 5 shows a year. Nobody knew about us to now it's a nationally touring act. My manager is Brian Wheat from Tesla.
Yeah.
And we've got shows lining up all over the place. And, it's a gigantic, it's night and day. The people that used to be involved in the project wouldn't even recognize this band anymore from how I've turned it from a bar band into an actual business. But it required a lot of sacrifice. And when my father died, I was on the road. I was 12 hours away when my brother called me, told me that I wouldn't see him anymore, and it killed me. I had a sold out show that night. The day I found out, I had to load in and play a show. And so, people will say, oh man, you must be great. You live that rock star life. And I'm like, no, you live in a van when you tour. And, we've never flown to a gig. We drive to them. And it's long 14, 16-hour drives.
Yeah.
And so the majority of my life is not being an entertainer. It's being a van driver. That's what I do for a living. I drive a van. So it's not what people think. And I understand why a lot of bands just simply never make it to the level that I'm at, just because the sacrifice is too great. You miss weddings and birthdays and anniversaries and cookouts and get-togethers with your friends, and you miss your family dying, you miss your friends dying, you miss everything. But it's a calling, there's so many people out there in the world that need hope, that need joy in their lives, and they look to live entertainment as one of those forms to make their life worth something when they get out of bed in the morning. So, and I was one of those people. My life sucked up until I was 32 years old. I couldn't stand my life. Contemplated suicide, the whole bit. So when I'm on stage and I see people smiling and singing and laughing and having a great time, it's therapeutic for me as well. And my dad understood. I mean, I almost lost my dad a couple of years prior to this, and he had 80% blockage in 2 arteries, 800 sugar. He was diabetic. And I got him on the phone right before they took him into surgery, and I said, I'm coming. He was in Florida. I was in Connecticut loading into a show. And he said, don't you dare cancel that show on those people. They need you, because they've been looking forward to this show. And when I heard him say that, I was like, he really understands what it is to be someone who needs that kind of joy and hope in their lives. And I just, it's starting to make me tear up a little bit thinking about him, because I was at his house yesterday cleaning out stuff. But I mean, he was a wonderful inspiration, and he understood how important this band is to the world, to the people we actually touch. And he knew it was bigger than me. And he always supported. Anytime we played House of Blues Cleveland or anywhere in Cleveland or Akron or Lorraine, he always came out and he paid for the ticket. He never asked me to get in for free.
Wow.
He knew what it took to be in a band and be successful. So my dad's like, he was everything to me. Like when he left this world, it crushed me. And I actually collapsed on the stage at the end of the night and start crying. But it, it means everything to me, and I will keep it going as long as I possibly can. It's just to give it to the world, just to give people that joy.
Yeah. I mean, what I was just having this conversation the other night with a friend of mine. I think I was at like the Lamb of God Mastodon show downtown, and you're talking about how there's so much going on in the world, and it's just like you're bombarded with all this crap and political stuff, especially right now, and you go there to escape, and the last thing you want to hear is whoever's fronting the band starting preaching their politics or anything. We don't go there for that, and nobody did that night. But sometimes it's like sometimes you'll get some of those shows and you'll be like, what, dude, I came here to leave this stuff behind, so it's like I get it. And the mental health aspect too, it's just like we went through all that uncertainty back in 2020, which seems like we're in the sequel or whatever now, but it's like people weren't able to go see live music. People weren't able to go get their escape at a sporting event and stuff like that. It's like and I knew I'm in recovery. I'm 15 years sober, and I got a lot of people I know that went back out because they couldn't get that connection. So it's like the importance of what you guys bring. I totally agree with everything you were just saying, and I'm glad that your dad got that and supported that for you. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. If you get out there and you talk politics, you're going to lose half your audience. I mean, everybody has their opinions, but whose mind are you really going to change by shoving your opinion down somebody else's throat who doesn't want to hear it?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I don't preach to people like you should vote for this or you should vote for that or you should think this way. What I do every show is I give thanks to the people who sacrifice their lives and run towards the trouble while we run away from it. And talk about our firefighters, EMS, first responder, our police force, our military. That's what I do. That's not political. That's patriotic to the people who have made this country great. Our politicians make this country shit. And our brothers and sisters out there, the people who are in our crowd, the people that are delivering our products, the people who are selling the products, the people who are creating the products, we're just Americans. We're brothers and sisters in this journey and through life together. So I just want to say thank you to the people who keep us safe so that we can think about a cookout instead of a bomb dropping on our house. These times that we live in, I mean, Israel, look what they've gone through. Ukraine, look what they're going through. Nigeria, no one ever talks about Nigeria because there's no oil there. There's genocide going on, in Nigeria. No one cares.
Yeah.
Over here in America, the trivial, stupid shit that people think about, oh, well, I want to identify as a cat. Or I want you to think the way I do politically, or you should watch this program because it's better than that it's so trivial. I
know all these first world problems we cry about here, like Venezuela is another one right now, nobody's talking about, and
there's so many stupid points that you and I could sit here and write a book about how trivial the American opinion is and what their concerns are today. And it's like, man, you don't know what it's like to live through hard times, like an actual true depression where people are jumping out of the windows, killing themselves. I'm not saying that, there isn't problems in our country because there's a ton of problems and they're all caused by two entities, the media and the politicians. It's not caused by you and I. It's not caused by the people that come to a show or want to go and watch a movie.
Yeah.
These things, we get to enjoy these things because of how strong the people who fight for our freedoms every day are, and what their sacrifices are. So I just make mention of that every show without fail. I stop the show and just say thank you to these people and everybody in the crowd. I always tell people in the crowd, you either know someone who's a friend, a family member, or it's you. You are the people, or those two other categories I mentioned are the people who run towards trouble while we run away from it. It's our brothers, it's our sisters, it's our parents, it's our cousins, it's our uncles and aunts, it's our grandparents. It's us. We are the community that has made this country great. And that's what I focus on. It's like, screw the politicians, screw the media for all that I could get, because, all they do is incite. They throw fuel on the fire and they make people angry at each other for stupid reasons. Yeah. So for us, for the show, like you said, you're not going to hear me say anything on the microphone that you should vote for this guy, you should vote for that. Fuck them both. You know what? We're here. We're enjoying our lives together, and let's just have some fun for a little while and escape all that bullshit.
Yeah. And I was reading in your guys' write-up that, the Four Horsemen are labeled as a celebration of Metallica, so that's one way to keep the celebration going, by leaving all the, politics and religion out of it. Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's music. We are here. Like you said, at the Lamb of God show, I would have hated for them to stop the show and start, telling people, forcing their opinions on people. I mean, people have done that in the past, and it's backfired on them. Bruce Springsteen, come to Cleveland and starts yelling at the audience about who they should vote for. It's like, shut up, play the song. We didn't ask you to come here and tell us how to live our lives. We asked you to come here and play the songs. So Paul McCartney said it best. My opinion of what I should be doing is what Paul McCartney said when people tried to get him to side one way or another politically. And he said, I'm an entertainer. People don't come to me for politics. They come to me for music and entertainment. Yeah. So that's my role. Do I have an opinion? Of course I do. Does it matter what my opinion is? Is it going to sway anybody's? Hell no. So why even bother? I'm there.
Like, those hefty price tickets for Bruce, I didn't pay all that for,
You don't need political advice from an entertainer, because at the end of the day, we've got entertainment. LeBron James has called people stupid for voting one way versus another. Great job at alienating your fan base. And he may not care. He's probably a billionaire by now, but there are a lot of people out there who are miffed because he called them stupid. And it's like, if you were smarter than the people you think are stupid, you keep your fucking mouth shut. It's just don't do that stuff. It shows your own stupidity. So I'm not one to tell people what they should and shouldn't do. What they ought to do if they come to our show: smile, laugh, sing along. And if you'd like to meet the band, come on over and get a picture and, fist bump or whatever. Other than that, I keep my mouth shut.
I've gotten to see you guys a few times at House of Blues, and one thing that I always appreciate too is your involvement. And I don't know if this is like you guys or just the venue or whatever, but I would see Four Horsemen on Vet Tix, donating tickets for veterans and stuff to.
That is probably, I won't take credit for something I don't know about. It's probably either Live Nation, Ticketmaster, or House of Blues themselves doing that. I appreciate that. But also, we are partnered. We are a partner of the Wounded Warrior Project. We donate thousands of dollars to our wounded veterans around the country. I'm very proud to be a part of that. It's not, we don't brag about it, but I always tell people as much as often as I can during the show, if you would like to donate, we have two forms. You can either throw it in the cash bin, or we have a QR code that they can scan on their phone and do it by credit card anonymously and in their own time. So that's something that I'm very, very proud to be a part of. My father was in Vietnam. My grandfathers were in the Korean War, World War II. My lineage of men in our family were served in the armed forces, and I'm proud to help. I try to do what I can, just to give back to the world, and it's it's honorable. It's bigger than me. The band is bigger than me. These are the things that I like to do, give back in some way or another, and it makes me feel good. I, couldn't be happier about where things are going with the band and with donations right now. I think we're up to like $5,000 in donations. We've only been doing it a few months.
Nice. Now, you guys, have you? I didn't recall seeing this in the write up I was reading. But did you guys do any of the Armed Forces entertainment shows, or have you got an opportunity yet to play any bases? Or
we've done one USO show. It was years and years ago. I've asked Brian Wheat about, can we get involved with the USO, because I would love to. I'll do it for free. I don't care if it costs me money. If they would fly us over to one of the bases and take care of our backline, I'll take care of the rest. I don't care if we get paid or not. That would be a huge honor, in my opinion, to play for the guys who literally lay down their lives for people to, have a hot dog at a cookout. So absolutely, I would do it for free if we could do it.
I know
contacts for it currently, but I would love to do it.
Nice. Yeah, I know when during my deployment, like Everclear came and played, and Scott Stapp from Creed, and during the time I was deployed, and it just meant so much just for that distraction from our everyday missions and stuff like that. So it's like, and everybody's always jamming Metallica when they're getting amped up for something. So to actually hear, the closest, thing to Metallica actually playing there, that'd be pretty amazing. And, we mentioned Brian Wheat a couple of times. I'm sure with his connections that can hopefully become something else, a reality for you guys. But how did the whole relationship come to be with Brian and you guys?
Well, a longtime friend of mine who lives about 15 minutes away from me, his name's Jeff Hare. He's a sound man for Man of War. He's been their sound man since the 80s. He's been in the Akron scene. He had a company for running sound down here, so a lot of the musicians know him. I met him years ago. I hired his company to do a show, and we just became very good friends at that point. I started hanging out with him a lot, going to dinner. In fact, we probably go to dinner 3-4 times a month still. He got me in touch with Joey DeMaio from the founder of Man of War. And Joey was just blown away by the band. This was back in the early, mid 2020, during the lockdowns. I went out and met with Joey, and he said, I've got connections all over the world. You guys should go over to Finland. It's huge metal over there. So he was like putting together shows. He had like a dozen shows for us. And had a couple of guys in the band who said they just didn't want to do it. That wasn't what they signed up for. So they ended up leaving the band, and, they were miffed at me for wanting to do something that they didn't want to do. But it's like, I don't live my life based around other people's convenience factor. I live my life based on what I want to do. So I had to tell Joey, and we backed off of that. But, the COVID thing persisted, and the company that bought our shows actually went under over in, I think it was called RH Entertainment. They completely went under. And so we lost that contact. Joey started writing an album. And so, we also lost contact. For a couple of years, I don't think I'd even talked with him. And so 2021 came around, started getting some shows during May, started growing more and more shows. 2022, 23 comes around November. I'm thinking I want to get some more audio done, some professional audio. So I reached out, I called Joey. I said, hey, can I bring the band out to your studio, record like maybe 5 songs? I'll cut up the songs and put them into promo. He goes, well, I got Michael Badio in the band now. We're writing a new album. I'm kind of busy. He goes, but I know a guy who has a studio in Auburn as well. He's in Italy right now. Let me give you a buzz back when he gets back home in a week. So I said, okay, cool. And I was like, he's probably not going to call. And so he called me back like a week later. We're on our way to XL Live in Harrisburg, me and the drummer, and we're driving. He goes, take down this number. And I'm like, all right. And I got the number, and he goes, this guy's name is Brian Wheat. And I'm like, I know that name. Why do I know that name? He goes, think Tesla, co-founder bassist of Tesla. I'm like, oh my God. He goes, yeah, call him. He's got studio time. He's expecting your call. So I said, okay, great. You know, my drummer's bouncing off the walls. I'm like, oh my God, dude, we're going to talk to freaking Brian Wheat. Love Tesla. So I called up, left a message. He called me back about 45 minutes later. And he's like, hey, this is Brian. And what do you want to do with this band? So I told him I wanted to record and stuff. And he goes, no. What do you want to do with this band? Where do you want to take this band? I said, oh, it's simple. I want anyone in the freaking world who thinks of a Metallica tribute to think of one name, the Four Horsemen, and that's it. I said, I feel that we do it to a level that no one else is even capable of doing it to, because I don't think people want to live their lives as someone else. I've been doing this band almost 19 years, and this is the only band that I focus on. I dropped my IT company. I was making a lot more money than I do in this band with my IT company. I dropped it. I grew my hair out, and I've committed my life to being James Hetfield. Now, it ain't like I walk around 24 hours a day being James Hetfield or anything. It's just that I study the albums. I play it the way it sounds on the albums. We perform it live the way it sounds on the albums. I build this band, the only album quality Metallica tribute in existence. And I can back it up. You know, it's like people think I'm an egotistical asshole for saying that. I've got other Metallica tribute bands who even, you know, they dog me online. I'm like, whatever, show me better. People that pay to go to my show deserve the very best that I can give them, because you can always make the money back, but you can never make the time back. And that is that's what drives me, is they deserve everything I fucking got. So I formed the band around that as well. My drummer, he doesn't have a job. He drums every day, and he studies Lars stuff, and he'll call me and be like, dude, did you know if Damage Inc., there's like a 7 count and there's this really subtle China in the background. I'm like, no, I didn't know that. And no, I'm not going to go looking for it, but I'm so happy that you found it. And he's like, man, I can't wait to play this out. And he gets really excited about it. But that's the kind of commitment I expect from the guys, because you get one chance to make a first impression when you're on stage. There's a lot of people who come to our shows still who have never heard of us before. And when they come out, I want them to be floored, and I want them to go home and saying, that was fun. Not go home saying, God, what a waste of time. That would hurt me that I didn't perform to my very best. And somebody said, man, it was such a waste of time to go see that band. So we got hooked up with Brian. He called up Metallica's agent and their manager before he called me back. And he said, he goes, I called those guys, and I said, oh my God, why, you know, I don't want to have any problems with Metallica. And he goes, well, I called them because I don't want to have any problems with them. He goes, you don't mess with that camp. Metallica is the biggest band on the planet, and I've known James, Lars, and Kirk since I was 22 years old. He goes, I had to make some calls to see if there would be a problem if I was to manage a band. He goes, I looked you guys up on YouTube. He goes, I haven't seen a Metallica tribute be this accurate. So he goes, come out to the studio. Let's record you. Let's see if you can play. And so we went out to the studio, and we recorded Motor Breath, Fight Fire with Fire, Damage Inc., what was on the Justice album? We did Dyer's Eve from Justice, and we did Don't Tread on Me from the Black Album. And so after we recorded those songs, he was like, you guys can really play. He goes, but I want to see a live show. I want to see what you got. So I said, okay, we're playing Penn's Peak December 15th. And he's like, no, you're not. And I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, Tesla plays there. You don't play there. And I said, we do play there. I'm booked. It was like 2 weeks away. And he goes, how did you get that show? And I said, the owner of the venue called my cell phone. I don't know how he got my number. But he called me in the summer and said, I've seen your band grow. You place a lot of the same rooms a lot of these nationals I bring in are playing. Do you want a show? So he was like, I can't believe this. I'm like, well, come out to the show. So he said, he goes, not only am I coming out to your show, I am bringing heavy duty Metallica fans to critique you. I said, fine. I'm not scared. I said, bring James, Lars, and Kirk if you want. I'm not scared of whoever's in the audience. You get me on the stage with my guys. I ain't afraid of anybody. We do what we do because we've been doing it week in and week out, 2 to 4 shows a week. I'm not scared of anybody seeing our show. I don't care who it is. You bring out Elton John, bring out Howard Stern, bring out the guys in Metallica, any of my idols, bring them out because our show is our show. I don't care who's watching. So he brought his friends out and he's seeing the show for the first time and he's walking around the audience. And he told me, at the end of our first set, he goes, you and I are going to have a conversation tomorrow. Call me. He had like a 3.5 hour drive to get home. I couldn't believe he even drove. So he and his friends took off. And I called him the next day and I'm like, what's up? And he goes, I was kind of thinking I wasn't really going to get involved with this project until I saw your show last night. He goes, I absolutely want to manage this band. You guys are going to be the biggest Metallica tribute in the freaking world. And I was like, what changed your mind? He goes, the aggression, the accuracy, how you guys sounded. He goes, I was walking around the whole place just randomly asking people what they thought of the band. And he goes, almost everyone I talked to said, you're better than Metallica themselves. And wow. I was like, damn. It was our first time ever playing Penn's Peak, so I didn't know what to expect. We had 1,100 people show up. I think it holds like 1,800 people. And he was just blown away. And so was the staff, and of course the crowd. We had a huge line at the meet and greet after the show. We don't charge. We just say, hey, if you want to come over to the merch booth and say hello, there's no obligation to buy anything. If you want to get a picture, shake a hands, bring the kids over, we'll take pictures with them. So we had a huge line afterwards and people were just floored. And that's usually what happens. I'm not bragging. I'm blessed. I'm grateful that people like what's going on. But as far as Brian was concerned, he was just like, yeah, I'm on board. So he's been on board with us since about January. Officially February, he was trying to get his ducks in order and like how he was going to fit in. But it's good. We've got Tesla's publicist company and their social media company now. I pay them to help us get the awareness out there for the shows and whatnot too. Just started actually this past month. So I'm hoping that they can help move the dial and get the awareness up, and all it's just about growing the band and spreading the joy of Metallica, that's all it is. And I love what I do. I don't have any regrets at all about spending my life doing it. Matter of fact, I looked at the clock and it was like 12:59 and I'm like, oh my God, I got to log on for this interview because I was doing a contract. It's like every day, all day, I have stuff to do for the band that I have to wear that hat. I wear multiple hats when it's doing this because I don't have a crew. We don't have anybody helping. Brian is advice and, I pay his media company now, but I've worn all the hats for over almost 2 decades. So
well,
it's a lot of work.
Shauna O'Donnell's top notch. She's who set this interview up with us. And
she's great.
Yeah, she does great work for sure. And since this whole involvement looks like, you guys have now like a much bigger, you've done a lot of traveling already, before Brian, but got a big tour coming up, a lot of new areas. Sturgis, is this going to be the first time playing Sturgis?
We just played Sturgis last Monday and Tuesday. Before that, we went to Nebraska. After that, we drove straight from Sturgis down to Columbus and did that show at King of Clubs. And the next night, we drove out to Wayland, New York, and did a big outdoor show.
What was Sturgis?
A lot of new.
Was it the first time?
Yeah, Sturgis was our first time. I had a good friend of mine who told me that no one was going to be there to see us play because we were opening for his band, and he said, "Well, it is what it is. He goes, we've played here for years and no one ever comes out to see the opening band. We've had Metallica tributes. We've had other tributes. We have covers. We have original bands opening for us. He goes, I'm sorry to tell you this, but there ain't going to be anybody there. So I said, we'll see about that. And I put my own ads up on Facebook, Instagram, bands in town. I had Shauna and our social media company guy's name's Doug. Shauna and Doug helped me with some posts and a couple of interviews and whatnot. And it was a packed house when we got on stage.
Nice.
And I didn't go back to my buddy and say, well, I thought nobody was going to be here, but I was just like, he sees it, and he was very happy. He's a great guy, great singer.
Yeah.
And, it was cool. And his band is very, very big. They're called Hairball, and they're gigantic. Their show is intense. It's amazing. The light show, the pyro, the costumes, everything about those guys is amazing. And I was very happy to open for them for 2 days. And their guitar player come up to me after the first night, I think it was, and he said, man, we should do a lot more shows together. They loved our band. They all watched our set. And usually they don't watch anybody's set. They're getting ready and doing their thing. But they're just great guys. They're professional. They're all professional. They've all done big things in their own right before they're joining that band. And it was an honor to have that kind of, reaction from a band that big. They don't need to watch anybody.
Yeah.
So they're cool dudes. But my buddy Dave is one of the singers, and he was like, yeah, you're probably not going to have anybody in front of you. But I was like, well, it was kind of packed. But, he's always rooting for us. He's a great guy. He roots for everybody that's in all these other bands and stuff. So he's a good dude.
That's good. And then, I know you've got a couple more for our local friends and family coming up here in the Cleveland area. I've seen, Rockin' the Rivers in Lorraine.
Rockin' on the River, September 13th. It's Friday. It is the last Rocking on the River ever, because Bob Early is retiring and he's taking the name with him. That's going to be a huge show. I heard there's going to be a senator, maybe multiple senators out there, Congress people, celebrities. It's going to be a huge event, and we're headlining that. I think we go on around 8:30, something like that. But we've headlined it for him a number of years at the very end of the festival. And last year I asked him, I'm like, why do you put us on at the end every year? And he said, because it's colder. And he goes, frankly, there isn't another band here that can draw the way you guys do. He goes, so I need you on that last spot so I have a good last show. And I said, well, I'm honored to help, it's cool. So yeah, this is going to be a big show for him. He's hoping to have a record crowd out there. And so are we, of course. But he's a good dude. He's a worker. And he's done it for many years. He used to be a DJ down here in Akron, I think on WONE, I think it was. So he's done a lot for the communities that he's been a part of, and I'm excited to be part of that. And then November 2nd, we're going to be at Goodyear Theater down here in Akron. So we've got a couple more shows for the Cleveland. I think there's an October one too.
Saw one, I think in Strongsville, right?
Strongsville, yeah. Hold on a second. Let me see. Is that
local?
At the local in Strongsville, October 19th. I'm looking at my calendar right now. So yeah, we've got 3.
Yeah.
Usually don't play this often in the Ohio area, period. I maybe 1 or 2 shows a year for Ohio, and I'm always just trying to push it out and make the name outside of Ohio. But had a lot of interest this year, and it was deals that were good, and I thought, let's try it out and see how it goes.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I've been to a couple shows at the local, and so when I seen that you guys are going to be playing there, I was like, man, they're not going to have enough room.
Oh, yeah. They built an addition, because I told the owner too, I said, we can't play that room. And it's not because, I don't play bars anymore. It's because we have too many fans.
Yeah.
And they're going to be upset if I book a 300 cap room in Cleveland, of all places. Like maybe Tulsa, Oklahoma, I could get away with a 300 cap room, but I can't do that in Cleveland because they'll have 1,000 people pissed off that they couldn't get in.
Yeah.
So he said he is finishing up a bigger room right next to the smaller room.
Oh,
I guess.
okay, yeah, I think that one restaurant next door they were talking about like expanding, and because it was shutting down or something. So
that's my understanding. Is I told him, I said, under those conditions, yes, we'll play the show. And then I think next year we're going to do the one that he has out in North Olmsted, the other local. We're going to do that.
Yeah, I saw they just opened up another one. It was sad, man, when because I'm a North Olmsted guy originally. That's where I grew up, And
was that the old Slam Jams?
I think so. I think that's where it's at. So that's a decent size, And because I was bummed when Sly Fox closed down. I remember going to see a couple tribute bands there right after COVID.
Well, my start in Cleveland was Sly Fox. They were the first ones to actually give us a shot, and we played in front of 50 people. But it became, it was a sold out show every time we played there. After our first couple of years playing there, people saw the quality, and it was sold out every time. I had people, they would let people stand out in the patio watching through the windows, because the cap on that room was 147.
Yeah.
So, but to sell it out as a young guy, back then, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. But yeah, Scott and Susie Matson were the owners of that. They were actually at my wedding, 2017, and great people. And I felt so bad when they said they had to close down, but I guess the owner of that strip was just charging stupid rent. So they couldn't afford it.
Definitely sad. And I went to like one of my first, like before like real concerts started open up after COVID. It's like they had a couple cover bands there, that tribute bands we went and saw. And it was like I went with my one buddy, Steve, who I plan on coming out to the Rockin' the River show with. And it was like if we closed our eyes, it was like, all right, we're really at, like, there was a Lamb of God tribute that played. And I was like, oh, wow, it's like we're really here,
I think I know those guys. I knew a couple of the guys who were in that band. They were pretty damn good. And
I think they were from like Canton area or something.
Yeah, I think it was Ashes of the Wake.
Yeah, I think that's who they were.
Yeah, and I give it up to them. I saw a couple of their shows. They played the Outpost here in Kent. Kent's like, I don't know, 20 minutes away from me. So I went and saw that, and I was like, damn, these guys they're pretty good. So there's some talent. There's some talent out there. It's just, there's a lot of bands that just don't carry their weight, and they expect people to clap and pay to see them on a stage, and I'm like, I don't go see a lot of bands. I go and I do my homework on, I watch videos and I see stuff, and I'm like, I'm not wasting my time with that. Because like I said, it's not the money, it's the time. I got so much stuff to do every day with the band. So if I'm going to go out and do something, I want to make sure I'm going to enjoy whatever it is I'm doing. So, but yeah, those guys were good. That Journey band's good. Escape. I went and saw them again this summer just on a whim. I'll go and watch bands here and there when I have time, when I'm actually home, which isn't very often. I've got 2 weeks off now, but I've been focusing on my dad's house and the things I have to do to clean it out. But if something came up that would, like, somebody say, hey, like, was it like 2 weeks ago? Jeff Hare called me up out of the blue, said, hey, I got tickets to Journey tomorrow. You want to go? I'm like, Journey and Def Leppard down at Indian Stadium? He goes, yeah. I'm like, all right, I'm going. Nice. And it was awesome. It was awesome. Got to see Cheap Trick open for Journey, and then Journey open for Def Leppard, and it's freaking amazing concert. Amazing.
Nice.
Robin Zander, what is he, like late 60s, maybe even 70, still singing his ass off. I was just like, damn, that guy is, you can't stop him, and that's Cheap Trick. That was the first one of the night. I was like, he did a damn good job. I really hope I can sing like that when I get to that age.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, Sean, man, I appreciate the time and getting to know a little bit more about your story and inspiration behind the Four Horsemen and stuff, and plug some of those shows coming up. But before we get ready to wrap up, I wanted to ask you a couple questions that I normally ask my guests that I have on.
Shoot.
We were talking earlier about not getting political, but talking a little bit about our country and things today. What class do you feel should be mandatory before graduating high school today?
A class that should be mandatory is finance. Things to do with what every person, when you get out of school, you're going to have to deal with money. You're going to have to deal with loans. You're going to have to deal with interest rates, APRs. There's so many kids out there, they get a credit card and they think, oh man, I got this whole line of, I can just spend this money. It's like, no, you can't. Because you spend that money, you don't pay it off before the due date. Now you're paying interest on it. So the thing that you paid $100 for, you pay the minimum payment, you're going to end up paying $200-$300 for it, because the interest rates today are nowhere near what they were when I was a kid. When you and I were young, you could get it. I had a credit card, 5% interest. I still have a Capital One credit card at 9.9% interest. It's never went down. It never went up. I got that card when I was like 20. And today's rates are like almost double that. And these, so I'm like, people need to understand money. They need to understand credit, money, and finance, and stocks, things that are actually going to affect every person that gets out of school. So I think that's one of the big things that's just not taught is, how to become financially independent, how to become wealthy, utilizing the concepts that are out there. I mean, there's rich people out there that, I'm not going to say they dive the system, but they work the tax code to their benefit. And that's not cheating. It's using the rules that are put in place to your own benefit. So I'm not jealous of people who are millionaires and billionaires, but I think all of us should be able to understand those rules. And if we do understand those rules and we do understand the benefits of utilizing them one way or another, more people can pull themselves up by the bootstraps and become wealthy. I mean, I lost my house to foreclosure. I lost my car to repossession. I lost my first fiance because I was broke and I had nothing to offer. So I had to go back to school and figure out how I could make it happen with whatever means necessary, and I had a lot of learning to do, and a lot of it focused around finance, like how do you make ends meet and live within your means? Because a lot of us don't live within our means. If you work paycheck to paycheck, how many months can you live on that money when you don't have a job?
Yeah. And
they used to say, well, you should be able to have like 6 months of money saved up in case you lose your job. I don't think that's long enough because of how much money people are spending. I think you should have a year or two saved up. If I lost this band right now, wouldn't matter a bit. I can go right back to IT. But in the meantime, I'm set indefinitely because of what I've done learning from 30. I'm 49. So I started making money when I was about 33. And by money, I mean, I started making over $25,000 a year. I thought that was a lot of money when I got to be 33 years old. $25,000 was a lot of money to me. And now it's, I just always tell people, just remember what $1 cost you.
Yeah.
Don't take it for granted and just spend your money frivolously. If you're going to spend it, mean it. And whatever you're going to spend it on, make sure it's an appreciating asset, not a depreciating liability. Why don't kids understand that? Why aren't we teaching that in schools? You go out and buy yourself a car versus buying a piece of real estate. Well, the car just went down as soon as you drove it off the lot. The piece of real estate, it can go up or down, but historically, real estate goes up. Now look at the prices now. It's crazy. So things like that, I think, should be taught in schools. And being a patriot to your country as well. I think that should be taught. I don't think there's a bad thing by telling people you should say the Pledge of Allegiance at all. A lot of other countries have their own allegiance, and we're being told that we should just not think of that, be patriotic Americans anymore. I'm like, I don't agree with that. I think we should be proud of our country. Remember the history. Doesn't mean you need to tear a statue down just because the old ways were not the ways you agree with today. Remember your history, because if you don't remember your history, you're doomed to repeat it. So people are stupid in that, right? And I think honestly, I think they want the majority of Americans to be dumb and follow orders and just, it's like cattle, follow the assets in front of you.
Oh, yeah.
I don't believe in that at all. I think everyone should be able to think and ask questions. So that's me.
Yeah, no, I've got a couple other episodes that you'd go, you'd be a really good guest on, because we have those conversations on here quite a bit, and some of them have been taken off of YouTube. But
oh well, YouTube is one of those censoring entities that if they get butt hurt about what you say, they're gonna censor you. I think freedom of speech is paramount to our country, and exchange of ideas, even if you disagree, you should be able to talk about it. You don't have to fight each other and punch and shoot each other to disagree on. So I have people who are very conservative, and I have people who are very liberal that are in my circle of friends, and I can talk to either one without getting in a fist fight, and it's amazing. Be civil. Be civil.
Yeah.
You can agree to disagree, and whatever happened to that concept, I don't know. And the only other thing I would say is, people get triggered by words. And when I was a kid, we were taught one simple little thing, and it's called sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. I think people need to get back to that and stop being triggered by a word, because words, look at it this way. If somebody does this to you, and you have no idea what that means, what does it mean to you? It means nothing. The only thing, a word or a gesture, the only thing it means is the meaning we give it. If you put passion behind that, you get angry. Oh, somebody put their second finger up in the air at me. So what? What does it mean? You know what it probably means? Their life is miserable. Don't come down to their level. Just stay calm and stay focused on what you're trying to build in your life, and you'll be so much better off. I try not to I get people, say negative things on Facebook left and right. You're nothing but a leech. You're not Metallica. Who do you think you are? Write your own shit. I get it all the time, almost every week. And I'm just like, whatever, man. I just block them. I don't argue with them. Just get out of here. We're here to celebrate Metallica. If you don't want to celebrate it with us, keep moving. And that's how I live it. No more arguing with stupid people.
Exactly. And then who are 3 people who've inspired you and you can credit for making you the person you are today?
Oh boy. My father, 1. If you're asking me about music, yes, my father would be 1. If you're asking me about financial, I would say my father's cousin, Billy McAdams, millionaire real estate broker, and just he opened my eyes up to what you can actually become. And he was the guy who told me always have 3 streams of income from separate sources. So Billy McAdams, my dad's cousin, was one of the other first influential people. And I don't want to name one of the guys because it's a political person, but being patriotic, understanding the sacrifices that guys like yourself and my father and my family have made for this country, that's something that will always stay with me. But I'll give you one other person that really inspired me to be an entertainer, and that's Angus Young, AC/DC lead guitar player. I heard Hell's Bells when I was in 5th grade. It blew my mind, and I sought them out. I bought every album they had up to date, and that was about 1985 at the time. It really inspired me. I dressed up as Angus for Halloween. I would take a guitar around with me in high school, 16 years old, spray painted an A on my hat, wore shorts and a suit top, and ran around at 16 years old, trick-or-treating. And I remember this one house, and this, you have to forgive me for being 16 and being a hothead back then, but I was so passionate about AC/DC and Metallica. I walked up to this door, rang the doorbell, and this lady comes out and she goes, "Oh, who are you supposed to be?" I'm like, how I don't want your candy. And I ran out. I'm like, How do you not know who I am? I was so passionate about AC/DC. So Angus Young and my dad's cousin, I think, are the three top people in that have really influenced my life to be the kind of person that I am today. There's others I could list, but again, I don't want people to say, oh, he's on this side of the fence or that side of the fence. I'm a patriotic American. I love our country. I know it's flawed. I know it's fucked up, but I'll tell you why it's screwed up. The media in Washington. Not because of our soldiers, not because of our police. It's because of the people who are pulling the strings. That's why our country has problems. So, there are other people I could name, but I don't want to start any fires.
That's all right. And then, we already touched on our soldiers a couple times, but any message you have for our military members that are currently serving overseas?
We love you. I will tell you this, and no one's paying me to say this. I gain nothing by saying this. I travel nearly the entire country, and we play shows in front of hundreds and sometimes several thousand people. And I always give thanks to our military, police, EMS, first responder people, and firefighters every show. I have never, ever in 18 and a half years had one person come up to me during or after the show and say, I don't agree with your outlook on these people. I have never heard that. The only people who are dogging you guys are Washington and the media. The country loves you. And I can tell you that from the bottom of my heart, truthfully, because I hear it all around the country, how much the applause is when I start talking about you guys and how many people are cheering out in the audience and how many people come up to me crying, literally crying after the shows because they lost someone in a war, having the post-traumatic stress disorder, suicides after wars, after conflicts, I just want you guys to know out there, you are fucking loved by this country. You are adored. You are honored. We wouldn't be the country we are without you guys sacrificing your very lives and your families sacrificing you, because it's a ripple effect. It's not just your sacrifice. It's your family who has to sacrifice you to whatever conflict that is, hoping and praying to God that you come back home in one piece, breathing. Yeah. So thank you so much for what you do, everyone, all branches of service. We love you for it.
Awesome. Sean, man, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to seeing you guys again here in Lorain next month.
If you come out, make sure you say hello, and I'd like to see you in person. Yeah,
for sure. And for all the fans out there or the new people that might just be hearing about you and the Four Horsemen, where would you send them to get updates?
You can go to our webpage. It's the easiest, shortest link, www.fourhorses.me, M-E, for the word, not the number. So FOURHORSES.ME. From there, you can find our Facebook, our Instagram, Bands in Town, and you can sign up on Bands in Town to follow us so you get an automatic email when we're in your area. And I think our Reverb Nation's there. I don't do a lot on Reverb Nation, but we have links there, and I think our YouTube page might even be there now too. So that's the easiest way, fourhorses.me, and you can see our schedule. You can jump on Facebook and follow us there. I post videos. We do live videos. Sometimes I'll do video like this where I just talk to people for a little bit. But everything gets posted on our social media for sure, probably even more than our website. But our website always has the latest updates for shows on the tour page. And there's a merch page if people want to do that. We sell stuff at the shows, but there's also a merch page on the website. That'd be it.
Awesome. Sean, thanks again for your time, man. It was great talking with you.
Great to talk to you as well, man. Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care.
You too.
Bye.